It looks like the Second Amendment just got a huge victory from the Supreme Court last week, opening up constitutional carry from coast to coast. But of course, like we've said, states have been lining up and preparing for really at least a year now in response to what they believe would be this ruling. So what we're going to take a look at is, as these states have to come into compliance with the Supreme Court ruling, how they will do that at the same time going into the same direction they're going, which is very anti-gun laws. So the states that are going to have to come into compliance are California, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, Hawaii, Connecticut, and to some degree Delaware and Rhode Island. Now, what many of these states have said is ultimately this idea that they plan to honor the Supreme Court's ruling while placing additional limits on concealed carriers. So let's take a look at what it is they're doing. California, they're always at the top of the list of doing this. This month alone, California is passing 16 new gun bills. 16 new gun bills, like they didn't have enough. Many of these will open up the doors for lawsuits against manufacturers, and many of these also are putting additional limits on who can carry. Now, what California is quoted as saying is that they recognize that the Supreme Court's decision outlaws what they call good cause, which is you have to prove good cause. You got to prove cause to have a gun. Meaning you have to prove that your life is in danger, otherwise you will not get a permit. They recognize that this, quote, good cause is going to be deemed illegal, but that they still have the right to say who does and does not get a permit. Meanwhile, San Francisco and LA are passing stricter limits on who gets permits. There's probably less of a chance of getting a permit in San Francisco today than before the Supreme Court ruling. All right, let's take a look at New York. Now, New York is quoted as saying they have been outlining new gun laws that will continue to let them have the most restrictive gun laws out there. Now, I don't think they're playing around. I think they're proud of that statement. They're very proud of that statement. And because of that, they're looking into laws that will probably pass before the end of July. Well before they start issuing any permits, they will pass laws that will limit the number of people per square mile. So what they're looking at is 10,000 people per square mile. You can't have guns in that area. Well, that would include all of New York City. That's the game they're playing. So now it's actually harder to get a permit in New York City, because not only do you got to, so they also are getting rid of, they recognize we can't do the good cause thing now. So we'll just say nobody can have a gun. Now, this makes it a lot worse. So, again, this is kind of what they've been planning, and I think it's important you be aware of this. All right, let's take a look at New Jersey. New Jersey has put more extreme limits on who can carry because of the Supreme Court ruling just in the last 24 hours. And what they're quoted as saying is these options are still available as to who we allow to carry and where they can carry. So ultimately what they're saying is, okay, fine, we'll get rid of the good cause thing, but we're still going to tell you who can and where you can carry. So that's just a tiny example of what we're seeing. So what I will say is I believe there will be thousands and thousands of lawsuits over the next few years, and I believe that a lot of these laws are going to get struck down, but it's going to take time, and that's something that we had communicated long when the Supreme Court agreed to even take the case. We said even if it went through, it's not going to be a quick process. Ultimately, it really has opened up the door for a lot of states to play their usual games. It's a game that they play. You can't tell us what to do, and even if you can tell us what to do, we'll do what you tell us to do, but then we're going to create all these other things that contradict what you told us to do. And that's what we're looking at. So You know, be cautious out there. I recommend start walking down that lawsuit path in the event that you're in any of these states and they start to block your right to concealed carry. Because again, it's, you know, the Supreme Court has said, you know, 15 years ago, you have the right to have a gun. And they just said you have the right to carry a gun. So, you know, if any state is restricting any of that, it's time to start walking down those paths. You know, I spent a lot of time in New York City, and right away I thought, this is great news. And then as soon as I heard that 10,000 people per square mile, I thought, you know, here we go. So love to hear any insight and thoughts on any of this. Put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.